Hi everyone, I'm going to do a review on some knives I got from Flying Steel, as well as some spikes. Now, if you're a fan of no spin, you're really going to like this company. They specialize in making no spin instruments such as shurikens, such as spikes, and these beautiful knives. All my other knives that I've been throwing, after a certain number of throws, they start to chip a little, especially towards the end. So they've all bent, and I've always had to resharpen them and refile them, whereas I've had these for a month now, and I've been throwing them, and they haven't bent at all. So they've pretty much kept their edge pretty well, if you could see. I hate with throwing knives is that it's as if the person that's designed them isn't a knife thrower, because this came sharp, and this came pretty sharp as well. But in a throwing knife, you actually don't want a sharp edge. I would say that for spin throwing, because you had to hold the blade at some point. But these are definitely not sharp, which I love. So that's kind of, to me, the sign that it's made by someone that knows what a knife thrower needs. So what's great about this company is that all their items are handmade, and they're made out of good quality steel. Now, the question you might be asking is, why do you care what kind of steel it's made out of? Well, that's very important. So if the steel is made out of a low carbon content, like 1018 steel, which is made out of 0.18% of carbon, it's called a soft steel, and it's more likely to bend and not hold its edge. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go with a high carbon steel, because let's say you get a 1095 steel, which is made out of 0.95% carbon. It's more brittle, most likely to break. However, it will hold its edge a lot longer, but most likely it will be difficult to sharpen. So the goal is to get somewhere in between, between a soft and a hard steel, where it can hold its edge but not break. And now, percentage of carbon doesn't matter that much if it hasn't been heat treated properly. So the question is, how do we know that these, well, not this one in particular, but these are heat treated properly? Well, they've been heat treated to 50 RC. RC is a test of hardness. So it'll test how hard that the metal actually is, which is important in terms of edge holding and if it's too soft. Most of the items, except for the 1018 steel, which cannot be heat treated properly, are all heat treated to 50 RC. And in general, you want to go between 50 to 63 RC for a good knife. I wrote that somewhere. So this is pretty good in terms of the steel and hardness for a knife. In any case, if you want to read more about steel and the different types of steel, just check their site. They have a lot of helpful information about it. In case the item you buy from Flying Steel might bend or break, they have an excellent quality policy. If you buy, let's say, a knife out of the more expensive steel, which is 1045 steel, spring steel, or tool steel, all you need to do is send it to them, and they'll replace broken items and straighten any bent items. So this is the Flying Steel's Northwind knife, and it was designed by Flying Steel to be a neutrally weighted knife. It's about 10 inches in length. It's made out of spring steel and has also been heat treated to 50 RC, so you know it's pretty good in terms of hardness testing. Even though they're smaller than what I'm used to, because these are 10 inches compared to my 12-inch knives, I really like them. They're actually the same weight, from when I measured, compared to my cold steel knife. So you get the small size, which makes it quicker to throw, as well as the weight. While filming, I was just running around like crazy throwing this, and these knives actually held up well to me running and throwing, because they're small. A bigger knife like this one, when I was trying it, it was just too big because it was too slow compared to how fast I was throwing. On the downside with this knife, and this is a personal preference, I tend to gravitate towards knives that are more symmetrical, like this knife. Mainly because I don't want to have to look down at a knife and figure out where the blade is at. So this knife is called the Thorn Shur-knife. It's the large 2011 model. It's also made out of 1045 spring steel, and it has been heat treated to 50 RC. And it was designed by Ralph Thorn, who is a master at nose spin. But he has a DVD on Amazon.com called Combat Knife Throwing, and I highly recommend them. So he designed this, the Shur-knife, which I guess is a blend between shuriken and a throwing knife. What I like about this knife is how solid it feels when you throw it. It actually has a loud thunk when it hits the board, so it's gratifying in that sense. And it's more of an effortless throw, and it took me a while to get used to because I'm so used to just hurling these pretty quick. It's a lot more slower because it's so long and so large that it needs a slower rotation. Is that it's symmetrical, so I don't have to worry about which side is pointing up. But on the downside, for this knife, after throwing the Northwind, I realized that I like this size a lot better. This just felt a lot more natural compared to this. I think this would work better for someone maybe of larger stature or larger hands, and I think it also would work better for long distance throwing. Once you get back farther, a heavier knife is usually better. I would like to try the 10-inch model of the Ralph Thorn Small Shur-knife, which is $35. So I think I might try that, and I think it'll be the perfect knife for me. Okay, if you've never thrown spikes before, I highly suggest you get into it. Number 1, they're fun. Number 2, they're ear friendly. And number 3, supposedly they're in lock, stock.
Supposedly.
And barrel.
Lock, stock, and 2 smoking
whatever.
barrels.
Lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels. Whatever. Why they're ear friendly is because if you're like me and you have an apartment, or you even have roommates, when knives don't stick, it's like the worst sound ever. It's a huge clanking noise. So when you throw spikes and they don't stick, it's actually like doesn't make you feel like cringe. The JA523 was designed by Jeff Adams, thus the JA, and they were designed to be like your traditional Bo-shuriken. Okay, this spike is 7 inches long, 5/16 of an inch square, if you noticed it, and it weighs 89 grams. So what I like about these shurikens is that you can throw with the traditional Bo-shuriken style of throwing, which is starting from here to there. Fortunately, I'm not qualified to teach that. My friend gave me a 2-hour lesson, and he's just great at it. So I really fell in love with shuriken throwing after he showed me. Now, what's really good is that these are weighted pretty well, and I think it's because of the large size, because usually they come a little smaller, but because of their size and their weight, they actually fly pretty straight, and they stick very well into the target. Unfortunately, these are made out of 1018 steel, which cannot be hardened, so they might have a tendency to bend a bit. I'm already seeing maybe just like a few chips on my shuriken, really tiny chips. But I'm not worried about them bending at all because I throw at a foam target, I don't throw at wood, and I don't think they would bend. In any case, because it's made out of the cheaper steel, they are cheaper in price compared to the pricier shuriken on their site. So if you're starting off, I highly suggest a set of these to start off with, and if you really get into it, go with the pricier shuriken once you get a feel for throwing. This is a 528, or Flying Steel's 528. It's designed by Flying Steel, not as a shuriken, but as a spike. This spike is 8 3/4 inches long, 5/16 of an inch square, and it has a comical point compared to the square diamond-like point of my shuriken. It's also made out of good quality 1045 steel, and it has been heat treated to 50 RC. Plus they're great quality, no chipping. It's 1018 steel, but this one is one showing kind of the slight wear. This showing no wear. When I first got these and I tried throwing them like a Bo-shuriken, which first off, they're way too long to be thrown like that, and it just wouldn't work. So I just could not figure out how to throw these, and I thought, why don't I just throw them like a spike? It's very similar to how you throw a knife using no spin. So I just throw them like this, and they're just awesome because they fly straight and they penetrate pretty deep into the target. In fact, I went through 2 of my jigsaw mats, And I mean, these just can do some serious damage. So I really like these spikes. I intend to get a set of 6, so I want to get 3 more of these. The price of these knives may scare some of you away. In general, I would say most of your commercial throwing knives are between $10 and $20 a piece. I recommend that you splurge on something that is of such great quality and that will last you forever, because once again, with our quality policy, they'll replace any broken items and straighten any bent items. Definitely, check out their site. Bye. If there were ever a zombie apocalypse, I would definitely take this set. I'd probably take a set of these and this, and I'd most likely bring this and this.